Hello, everybody. This is a very, very happy time for me for a number of reasons. The biggest one is that I just had my civil partnership with my partner, so I'm very, very happy about that. Um, and it's midsummer, it's great weather, it's lovely, everything's beautiful, you know. Um, I was thinking about how I am about a lot of things, and there are certain patterns that run through things, and it's one of the things that I sort of have to. Well, I found that I have to understand about myself. Really, um, I've never been really a joiner. I've never been somebody who seemed to go the orthodox way, um, even in relatively niche areas. And I think what there is to that is it's something in my nature. It's part of who I am and what I am somehow. When I always did art. Yeah, I always did drawing at home. Um, my dad used to bring this sort of like this scrap paper home from the factory. Yeah, and he'd bring these like it was paper that had sort of like plans on it. Yeah, plans for different things and circuit diagrams and things like that. But you could ignore the circuit diagrams, or you could turn them over and use the other side of them. And I used to draw on these with biros all the time because we had biros was what was around, and so I used to just draw continuously, just draw and draw and draw. It's just what I used to do. Uh, so art was always really big, but the first serious go at art, which was in my early 20s, there was really serious go at it after I dropped out of university. That's where I started to throw myself into things really for a while. And it was always combined with magic and things like that, yeah. But my idea about art was really in a sense that, well, I wanted life to be art. I wanted life to be sort of artistic. And what I was really aiming for was that for life to be magical, essentially. Um, and obviously the two were overlapping. But I really wanted life to have that quality to it. And in a way, I believe that everybody was a kind of artist. Um, and I didn't want this distinction, like this distinction between, say, performer and audience, or between artist and onlooker, because it's all one process. It's all one flow, all one thing happening, and different people may play different parts in it at a particular time and then swap over and do other things, yeah. But that's how I thought. Um, and that might be linked to some things astrologically in me as well, like having Sun conjunct Uranus or something in Leo. But it was really how I thought about things. And I also found that when I had this great inspiration in my teens, which is, of course, and that's earlier on, from witchcraft, particularly the work of Alex and Maxine Sanders, because that's what really came through the culture, yeah. And that was a massively powerful transmission. It really was. And when you're very young and very impressionable, it's like it sort of soaks into you, goes straight into you, really, in some sense. And I realised actually, um, now I never found a place in any of these things really, officially. Um, though I found Thelema very welcoming. and I do love Thelema, and I really like being around Thelemites in a lot of ways. Yeah, um, but I realize I have the same kind of orientation to magic as I do to art. And so I see this mixture of art, magic, imagination, creativity, and the kind of growing outwards to something, a kind of deviation. The capacity to deviate is very, very important, yeah, I think, in creativity. Because every initiation, every new beginning is a deviation of some sort, yeah. Um, and so that's kind of how I see that, and that's how I relate to these things. And that's what I want to live. I want to live that kind of a magic and that kind of an art. And certainly I want to produce art. I want to produce works of art. Yeah. I want to produce these things. Um, they come out of meanings, out of needs, out of things that needed to be expressed for me, or out of impulses. And the very stuff of paint itself is just fascinating. You know, the very stuff of paint is fascinating. Physically, the physical act of painting is fascinating, and that's where the learning is. It's all in the physical. It's all in the physical, organic relationship to a medium. Yeah, and I find it linked with all sorts of things, but it's linked with the spirit to live and to live fully and to be yourself, inevitably, you know, uh, which doesn't mean there's any particular preconception on what that would be, how that would go. But anyway, um, that's the sort of stuff I really love. Um, because there's only so many people who are recognized artists or recognized performers or recognized musicians, but that's not the point. The point is that life should be creative and magical for you. That's the point. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. It doesn't matter what the world thinks about it. Not one bit. So that's what I really want to say to people. The important thing is to live creatively and magically as who you are. And I really wish you a very happy summer. uh, and and I hope you have a very good time. And follow your own path, follow your own course. It's the only thing to do. Okay.